Go. What's up, everybody? We are live. It's Arkatech Beatz.
Arkatech Beatz.
I am your main man, Juggernaut of multi-platinum production team, Arkatech Beatz, Big Pun, Nas, Jadakiss, Raekwon the Chef, Freddie Gibbs, Killer Mike, The Game, Shorty Low, Waka Flocka, Saha the Prince, you name it, we've done it. Maya, you know what I mean? And every night we get on live to do music production tutorials, beat making tutorials, answer questions about the music business.
Arkatech Beatz.
For everybody that comes into the live, we come out every night at 9 o'clock. You know what I mean? So we wanted to thank everybody that comes on at 9 o'clock just to kind of watch us cook up. You know, so this is what we're doing right now. So we're working with the NPC tonight, of course, and let's go. Liking it live. Shout out Danny Perez, born ready. I see you. Let's go. Everybody that's joining the live. Shout out to everybody, man. Dooney, what's good? brother. Let's go. So let's break it down what we did on it, man. I got on the live a little late today. You know, I said, let me just cook something up because, you know, sometimes people be impatient. They be wanting to hear some music before we start the live. So I wanted to do that before I start kind of cooking it all up. You know, get some energy in the room. Last night I was flat. I ain't going to hold you. I was tired. I was tired out of my mind. I was tired, man. Had a long day. You know, was fighting the attorneys on the phone in the day, and it was crazy. Just I had a long day of just dealing with a lot of business, and then me trying to set up. You know, I've gotten a lot of inquiries about some of these beats. A lot of people want some of these beats, and I've been trying to really go back and forth with the attorneys in terms of what kind of licensing we want to offer and what kind of things that we want to offer. And, you know, me and Mike been talking about how we want to help certain artists, and we just trying to create the right situation for people who want to work with us. So, you know, thank you for being patient with us, man. You know, so we just try to make it do what it do. So, like, listen, we start off this one. It's real simple, man. It's really just a basic boom bap. Like, you know, we're not doing anything too complex. We just want to find the right loop, put it at the right tempo. And a lot of times with boom bap, it's about the speed of the beat. It's the speed. Sometimes it's the tempo. It's the tempo, you know. If we get the right pocket somewhere between 85 and 90, we're going to have a nice little pocket on the boom bap. Kind of give us that, you know, late 90s flavor. You know how it goes, right? So we start off with the sample. And the sample has chops in it. Simple, 4-bar loop, nothing too crazy. It's very, very simple. And again, you have to look for these samples at royalty-free places to make sure that so that your music can clear quickly. And royalty-free is so that you can get your music out fast. People in the line of have to get approval, signatures, blah, blah, blah. Can't put it out. And we do that by doing a 16 level. When we press this button here, it gives us the type of 16 level. When it says 16 level, it levels, it puts it pushes the sound at a different level, highest at the top, lowest at the bottom. And when we use it, you see how it goes up in velocity. So it's like it kind of mimics you hitting the pad harder. This one being the hardest, this one being the softest. I hope that makes sense, right? DJ Heavy, what's up, man? So boom. Then we added an open hat. And the open hat is the same thing. The open hat is and what I did is I took it off of a one shot. And a one shot is when you hit a sample and it plays all the way out. I took it off of that where I have to hold it. So if I hold it, it plays the whole thing. But if I mistrigger it, like, see how it gives me that? Gives me that nice little short kind of play. I did the same thing with the 16 levels. We did a velocity, and we triggered it at a lower velocity, right? So this is what we did on that to just kind of give us that extra in the beat. And here it goes. And we kind of do it every time before on the fourth bar. So it's on the fourth count. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again. You know what I'm saying? So just to kind of give us that, what you call it, that kind of, just kind of give it that continuity with the beat. Then we got the snare. So everybody knows I like to pick a heavy snare, man, and the snare so that it can kind of push through the sample, especially when you got a sample that's doing a lot of dynamics. You want a snare that's going to kind of carry your music a little bit. And also what you'll notice is that by using the right types of snares and kick drums, that's going to attract your listener a lot easier than using other types of snares and kick drums, man. So, you know, I'm very big on sound selection. I try to tell people, like, listen, start with the best sounds, and then you don't have to really worry about all that crazy mixing and EQing and all that stuff that people want to do in the back end, right? Heavy kick, right? And I use a heavy kick drum. Everybody knows in my live, heavy kick drum. If you are in my live, you have to get a Bluetooth speaker or take your phone into your car so you can hear my joints, man. You know what I'm saying? Just be honest. we're not playing around when you come into the joint, so you got to make sure that you're listening to it live. So anyhow, when we come back to the kick drum, the kick drum is doing this, right? And if you hear it goes dun dun, right? Okay. First we wrote the drum, right? And then we came back again and we overdubbed. We did the same thing with the 16 velocity, with the velocity of the 16 level. See, this is the heaviest. Yeah, this is the lightest. Shout out to Anthony, man. What's up? So how we did it with this one, this is the heaviest one. So we do the main part with the heaviest part. And then the giddy up, we do it with the lower part here. Right there. And that's how we trigger it. We just basically like. And that's it. It's a low to a high. So here we go, right? We're going to play the whole beat as it all put together. If people have any questions. Oh, last thing I did is when I was doing that extra giddy up, I changed the timing from 116 to 132. So when we're talking about the timing correct in the MPC, everything is broken into grids. You have to think about it like that. Every bar, you have four counts in the bar, and then you have counts in between the bar. So there can be 16 parts in between that, and then 32 parts. And what that helps to do is that helps to determine when you're triggering your sounds, what part of the grid does it fall on. So if you give it more counts, you have more places inside of the grid that you can move your notes to. And that's kind of like the easy way to kind of give people information on time correction, right? And I added a little bit of swing to it. I normally don't do that, but I wanted it to have a little bit more swing on the kick drum, so I put it to 55 swing. Normally by default it's at 50, right? So when we put it all together now, make sure we're hitting the like button, make sure we're sharing the live, make sure we're getting a friend in this thing. It goes like this. Now we're gonna try to get a bass line in here, man. Cause I know y'all hear it. And you gotta do something funky on it. You know what I'm saying? We gotta see if we can put a bass line in it. See where it goes. You know what I mean? So what I'm gonna look for, I'm using this plugin. Shout out to Akai for this one, cause they bless us with the license on this one. It's called Sub Factory, and it really got some good sounds in there. So make sure people are checking that out. Box Dog, shout out to you, man. Shout out to everybody joining the live. We're here at 9 o'clock every day, man. So, all right. how do you know what to put together? It just takes time, man. It takes time and repetition, and the more music that you listen to and you start to break down more music, you'll start to hear the individual elements as we going into things, you know what I mean? So a lot of times I might hear something that you might be like, I don't understand where you're going with this. I don't know how it sounds. And then by the time we put it together, you be like, oh, that's how it's supposed to go. Because honestly, it's a combination of trial and error. That's the first thing. It's definitely trial and error. We try different things to see if it works. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. And for people who have been on me with this live, you see me go through the process in real time, sitting here trying to figure out this beat. Like, oh man, it's like a math problem. It's like, what do we add? What do we subtract? You know, if you've ever had to cook a good dish of dinner for somebody, hey man, you don't want to put too much salt on that. William, what up? You know what I'm saying? You don't want to put too much pepper on this thing. You know, you make it too spicy, people can't eat it. You know what I mean? So you're just trying to figure out what's it going to take, and then how we're going to get the perfect sear on that steak. You know what I mean? Like, got to get the pan hot. We got to get the right oil in that joint. If it's not going to taste good if you don't do it the right way. So it just takes time and repetition for us to figure it out. So when I'm doing this bass line is like, it's trying to find the right notes. Any books to help with the learning curve for the MPC, not off the top. For the music business, yes. For the MPC, not off the top. Like I said, we're here every night at 9 p.m. So we try to, work through some of the nuances of this thing. I'm gonna lay down part of this bass line. Sounds like that. Sounds like the note. We'll figure it out. Do it again. Because I got my quantization on. I need to take that off because I want it to fall on the note. See what happens. See what happens when you got you're in here with me live. Like, why is this sound like it's off? What just happened? Go to the next joint. Hold on a second. Who's with me, man? Everybody share the live, man. Make sure y'all sharing the live. Shout out to everybody that's in here. Anthony Bustle, Box Dog, Born Ready. I see you guys. Thank you for joining into the live. We're here every night at 9 p.m. For those who do not know me, I am Juggernaut of Arkatech Beatz. Arkatech Beatz is a multi-platinum production team. We have produced for everybody from Big Pun to Nas, Jadakiss, Prodigy of Mobb Deep, rest in peace. Shorty Low, rest in peace. Trouble ATL, rest in peace. Little Kid, ATL, rest in peace. Who else? Freddie Gibbs, Killer Mike, Waka Flocka, Alley Boy, Jadakiss, Raekwon the Chef, RZA, you name it, we've done it. I know, Box Dog. You thought you stumbled on a random guy on the internet, right? A random dude, right? Yes, what you thought. You thought it was a random producer up here making beats. Oh, I can't forget Max B, man. Why you do that? Let's go. What's up, Real Dean? What's up? Listen. If you're trying to learn the MPC, like I said, I'm here every night 9 o'clock. We're just showing people how to cook up, how to basically how to use the box, and I'm doing it real basic. I'm not going too crazy in it. I'm not going nutty with the sample cutting and the filters and the effects. I'm not going too crazy. I'm just doing some basic stuff so people can follow along once you get your units. Also, I answer questions every night about the music business, right? So I know people may not have, may have questions about music publishing, music copyright, branding, just trying to get longevity in the game, networking, all the questions that people are trying to get answered. That's what we try to do here. We try to make sure we can try to help new artists, help new producers, try to help cultivate the talent. And some people ask us about the beats and stuff like that, and I said we're trying to work on some limited licensing and stuff like that. I would say these are kind of beginner tutorials. But if the demand is there, we may just record some stuff, and we may do the beginner tutorials that we may record and then have those on the YouTube or whatever, just to kind of help people through the situation. As far as classes or lessons, I haven't really thought about doing that, man. I haven't thought about it, but like I said, if the demand is there, if people want that, then we'll try it. I think I could be an okay teacher for those who've been in the room with me for a little while. But check this out, right? If you guys haven't gotten any of the books, you got to make sure that you get that. You want to make sure that you have your Ultimate Guide to the Forming Your Own Music LLC. It's very important. You want to make sure that you have the Musician's Guide to Music Publishing and also the Musician's Guide to Music Copyright. These things are very important. You can get those there. I put it on the screen so you can find those things. And also, if you want them in paperback, it'll be linked to Amazon. And if you want it in, right to your email, it'll go straight to your it'll be a PDF, go straight to your email. You get it instant. So check this out. I want to try to get into another beat. Typically, we do about 2 to 3 beats a night, right? Who's been in here with me a few times? Born Ready. She been in here a couple nights with me, so she kind of knows the MO what we do with that. Should you go for the live MPC Live or the MPC X? The main difference between the MPC Live and the MPC X, the MPC X has more inputs, of course, right? You have XLR and all that other good stuff. The MPC Live My partner Mike Tramadee uses that. I use the MPC because I have a stationary studio that does not, my MPC doesn't leave the house. Let's put it that, in context. I got my studio set up here in front of me. You guys can't really see it, but it's like I got different things here in front of me. All my monitors, computer screens, everything. And then of course I have another workstation behind me. I don't know if y'all can see that. Say that and you want to run around, what my partner does, he's on the go. So he likes to take his MPC with him. He'll cook up at the dinner table. He's that kind of cat. Like, what I mean? He'll be at the dinner table. He'll be cooking up. Me, I need to just come in my space, and I like to do what I'm doing here. You know what I mean? So I hope that answers your question. But both of them are going to do the same thing. You know what I mean? Yeah, I hear a lot of people talking about the MPC one, man. Like, again, I think all of them can do what it need to do, man. You know what I'm saying? Especially being on the budget, depending on what your budget is. The main thing that we're looking for right now is we're just looking for more mobility and being able to kind of set your situation up. Pardon me. That's weird. So what do I use when I'm on the go? Listen, when I'm on the go, man, I'm on the go. That's it. I'm on vacation, man. I ain't trying to do nothing else. I'm on vacation, man. I'm not taking none of that stuff with me, man. You know what I'm saying? I might have some FL Studio on my phone or something like that, but I never really like that. The most that I do when I'm on the go is just listen for samples. I do sample hunting. I be, like go through different sound libraries and stuff like that, and I'm finding sounds, and you know what I mean? Like that's the most that I would do. Like as far as me taking my MPC like on vacation and that type of stuff, I'm just too concerned about, not being able to leave it and have it be secure. That's my big thing. He said he had an MPC Beatz, but he just couldn't figure it out. Like it just depends, man. Like I would tell people like this: when you're dealing with this MPC, you just want to really, really hone into the basics. I don't want people to. I think what happens is that if you try to get into everything that this box can do, it's going to confuse the crap out of you. I can't explain it any different than that. So what we want to do is we want to just break it down into making the beat the very simplest ways that we can do that. Now, do you have to go with royalty-free samples? So listen, I got these songs that you've never heard before. I got these songs with Raekwon. I got these songs with Nas. I got these songs that you've never heard before. You know why? Because them samples didn't clear. So that's why we use royalty-free samples. If you don't want your music to come out, or if you want somebody to take a big chunk of your earnings, go ahead, use those samples. You know what I mean? But when you use other people's samples, they could take all of this. They could take all of the song, so you can have a hit record and earn nothing. Oh man, the place we go to get the royalty free from, you can get them like all online, man. Just Google it, man. Royalty free samples, they're all over the place. Tracklib, Splice, they're all over the place, man. Shout out to the official CL Smooth in the building. Review people's music. Yes, we do have a review situation that we have set up on our website. You can go check that out. we were doing that more often, more consultations often, but we weren't. It just depends on time. If you have time to do it, then we do it. If we don't have time, then we don't do it. But at the same time, we're just trying to, like I said, we're trying to work with new artists because that's how we identify the next talent is who's coming up. You know what I mean? So that's really the main thing, is just trying to make sure that you know who's who and what's what. But we definitely want to try to help people in trying to get their music good and, that sort of thing. I want to try to get into another beat because we've been on live now for 30 minutes. And I want to try to get into another beat if I could find a sample here that I want to use. Try something. We're gonna try to lay this down. Let's see what we get, man. Two, three, lay it again. Zach, what up? Came on a little late, bro. Was trying to get them kids down. you, boss. So send me a DM and I'll get you a link. Let's go. Gotta get that in there. Wrong time. Let's go. Let's go. Splice is probably the best out there in the market right now. They need a coach. Splice is probably the best. Now, granted, you're gonna have some scenarios where people are using the same samples, but if you've been around as long as I've been around, people have always used the same samples. They just never use them the same way, right? And that's what it's up to you, is not to use the sample the same way. You can give a guy the same sample, but it don't mean the guy gonna have the same record. And that's really the key to that. You know what I mean? So you can give a beat to one guy, he make a hit. Give a beat to the same, give a beat to another guy, and it's something else. So let's take, for example, Bobby Shmurda, Hot Something, another record. Lloyd Banks has the beat first, right, from Jalil Beats. Record does okay. You give it to Bobby Shmurda, he do something different to it, and it turns into a smash. You know, so same beat. You know what I'm saying? Nothing different. Just different energy, you know what I mean? So, you know, don't get too caught up in the whole, like, you know, people got, you know, I can't find the rare samples. You have to dig, you know, so you got to dig. But you say that stuff on Splice gets flagged. What do you mean it gets flagged? Like on YouTube? Yeah, it gets flagged on YouTube because what guys do, this is what guys do, alright? You see like how I took the sample just now? I took the sample. I didn't do nothing really to the sample. I take this beat, you know, didn't really do nothing to it. Then I go and I put it with 4 other beats. And then I'm like, yo, what's up, Coach J? That's my homie from the BX. Some guys take the music like how it is, like I have it right now. And I take it, I put 4 or 5 more songs. I do a cover in Canva. Then I'm going to DistroKid and I'm gonna say, hey, content ID my record. And if you go to our YouTube, I posted a video to answer Bolo's video. There's a certain way that you have to dispute your stuff. If you're not disputing your stuff accurately, then it's gonna come back and you're not gonna get your copyright flags are not gonna get released. You know, but you have a license from Splice, but you have to utilize the license accurately in order for it to work. So if you check my video, I have a video that's on the Arkatech Beatz page and on YouTube, and it basically explains how to make sure that you can beat that, right? And then also I have another video on our website on YouTube that explains the whole process of content ID and the fingerprinting and what it does and what it's meant to do. And I content ID some beats that I want to keep off of YouTube, right? So I have some beats that I make content ID, and I use another company for that, and it's called Identify. And you know, this is the way that you can content ID your beats without having to go through BeatStars and, you know, having to put it out on a DSP. So there's ways to go about doing this stuff, is that people have to be versed in it. And the issue with the license from Splice is that when you download the license from Splice, you can't copy the text. It's a PDF file, but it's like an image PDF file. So you're unable to really copy the text, and you can't take the text and put it into your YouTube dispute. And that's where people get jammed up. You have to be able to take the contents of the license and put it into text format, into the dispute field for YouTube to be able to read it. And because it doesn't have a function for you to attach the license and upload it, that's what gets people jammed up. So you have to take the license and the contents from it. And then when you look at the video that I made, I use ChatGPT to take the license, to extract the data from the license, and then I copy and paste that into my disputes. And that's how, if I get a copyright flag, they always get released. I haven't had any that haven't been released, and I've been going live every single day using nothing but Splice samples. I hope that answers your question. There's something going on with this sample. I don't know if you guys are noticing it, but I may have to chop it because it's not triggering the way I think it should. So yeah, you could use Splice, brother. You can use any of those things. You just have to make sure that no shade to anybody, man. It's just different process for this stuff, you know. And let me put it like this. Say we're negotiating the sale of our music. Like, say I may be negotiating it and you might be negotiating it. Or somebody else is negotiating it. Let's just say, for example, if I know what to ask for, I'm going to get more than you're going to get. Right? And that's the same thing that happens with these YouTube disputes, these Facebook disputes, is that if you don't know how to articulate the fact that you have a license, if you're not able to put the contents of the license, the link of where the sample comes from, the terms of service, what the license encompasses, like why would they release your copyright claim? They're not going to do it. Because as far as you're concerned, as far as they're concerned, you didn't prove that you have the right to use it. Yeah, so you have to remember that that's what it's all about in this game. How do you put it on mute groups? I can show you. Wrong one. Hold on, I'm in the wrong sample. I'm in the wrong sequence. That at all. It's trash. Hold on 1 second. Wrong track. I'll lay something down. Don't like that. Let's try it again. So this sample is doing something that I don't like. So what you're going to have to do in this may have to chop it up because it's not triggering right to me. It's not triggering the way I want it to trigger. Nah, we don't play no church music here, bro. Sorry. That's another channel. We definitely got to chop this joint. I'm sorry. So we're going to convert this. So what I did is I went into what we would call, we would go into the chop setting, And then we go into regions. And what regions is going to do is region is going to take the sample and it's going to cut it into 16 equal parts. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's going to put it across the pads. And then you can have control over how you want to trigger and or manipulate. The way that this sample is looping, it's looping right. But it's the individual parts on there to me that is not staying on the drum. So it's like it's going da, 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 and like to me there's like a delay in between that. So you probably have to sometimes trigger that secondary part so that it plays the rest of it differently. You know, so then so you can pick the best parts too. So you can do a whole bunch of different things that can make a whole different beat from this now. If I want to do that too, that's a whole nother thing. So let's process this, or rather, let's convert it. Excuse me. We're going to make it into a new drum track using slices, and I'm going to do a non-destructive slice. And what it does is it puts it on a new track for me, a new drum track. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my sample. I'm going to mute this. Lay this drum track down different. Wrong sound. Let's go. Let's go again. We're gonna change it up. Let's go. Let's go again. Let's go. I'm gonna take one of these out. One of these things don't belong here. What you call it? We're gonna go to the sample where we triggered it. We're gonna go to this arrangement. And I'm gonna move this last note back. I have a feeling that if I move it back, it'll close that gap. Sooner. It's a little bit sooner. It could go, but I like it. Nope. Save this beat. I'm gonna call this beat the cook up for all of those that are in the building, and then I'm gonna go back to and let's talk about what we did. Shout out to everybody that's in the live. Shout out to everybody that's in the live. And look, and what we did is we just triggered the sample. Alright, so we just triggered the sample. we wanted to, right, we can go back in, we can copy this track, and we can do a whole other beat to it. Kind of like that. Hold on, let's lay that down. Listen, if we don't experiment, you don't get that. And y'all sat here and y'all watched me do it. If we don't try different things, we don't get that. Like, that's how it works. Like, sometimes it's like you're sitting here and you're like, man, and you'll do it and you'll be like, man, something in your soul be like, it's not. You gotta. You want it to punch you in the chest, man. Like, it gotta punch you in the chest. It gotta feel like it's gonna pound through the speakers. Pause. Let's go. So let's go back to the other one and see how that sounded, remember? goes, man. I can't. It really goes. I can't complain. Listen, it's just another day of beats. So let's listen to the first beat that we did.
Arkatech Beatz.
Shout out to everybody that's in the live, man. We've been on here for an hour and 15 minutes. Does anybody have any questions, man, before I start to wrap this thing up? Is using a DAW necessary for an MPC? Not this one. Not for this one, man. This one is special. You don't really need to use a DAW in it. You can do everything honestly out of this box. It's standalone. It has all of the effects. It has a loud enough fidelity. It has, delays, compression, everything that you might need to do that separation of tracks. So you don't really need to do that. So what's the key for independent artists to make it in the industry today? It's consistency. Like for independent artists right now, it's consistency, and like you're in a situation where you'd have to put out more music than you've ever had to put out, and that's really for you to cut through. You want to give yourself enough opportunity for what we call to have binge-worthy content or binge-worthy music. So if you have enough music that's out there, and by the time that you're discovered, you need to have enough music for people to go back and listen to help build your following. So really the key to independent artists right now is just consistency. Being able to write good songs consistently. Be able to put out things on a schedule consistently. Have a content schedule. And then really building with your audience, man. Like building with your audience. Like, there are certain people that come in here. Shout out to Zach, shout out to Born Ready, a few people that I know that's coming in. Their names now are becoming more, prominent to me because I see them, in the chat, and they're here daily, So You got to you got to give respect to the people who are here to support you, and show the love. And you got to build your audience. That's really how you got to build it. Like it's a community. It's a relationship. These people give you their time and they give you your attention, and that's not easy to come by on social media. Slower than that. All right, my brother, be safe. Just start with the track, Zach, man, and let it go from there. Find the right music and go from there. Honestly, I don't know where this is going to go. Who's going to go with it? Let's go. Sir, I use rolling products. Any advice for MIDI? For MIDI timing? Dollars. Which MIDI? Which rolling product we're talking about? The 404? So what I do, Vinny, is I normally search for 3 to 4 samples, and then they don't have to be the same. They don't have to be, just really random, because I don't want to have the same type of beat tonight. You know what I mean? I want to do something different, and then we try to cook it up. You know what I'm saying? We find what we like, and then there'll be different tempos, there'll be different vibes, and then we try to cook it up live, and we try to just see what can we make with the samples. And then what I'm trying to illustrate is that it don't matter what it is. Once you kind of if you're rocking with me and you seeing what I'm doing in real time, you'll start to understand, like, it's just a process of listening to what's there, picking out elements, and then trying to see what works, what doesn't work. There's no right or wrong way to it, to be honest. It's just just trying to really perfect your ear and what you're trying to do. They use the MC7, 808, 909, TR8s. And when you say, is there any advice for MIDI timing dollars, meaning like you want to use those sounds and have it triggered by another MIDI device, if that's what you're asking me? Because if that's what you're asking me, then I would still say use an MPC. Like, even if you're using, say you're connecting it via MIDI and you're triggering with that, use an MPC. If not an MPC, use the MPC keyboard. The MPC was at the 37 MPK. Like, the MPC, in my opinion, has probably the best timing. If I'm being honest, in terms of clock. And this is for me using FL, using Serato, using Machine. So that's just my experience, in my snare. Let's go again. Change the hats. If you notice with the hats, it's not moving the way it needs to move. So we got to go back. We got to change these hats. Or we got to add on. So let's do that. Let's add on versus change. So let's find another hat. Let's use that. Let's go. Shout out to everybody that said it live. Shout out to everybody that shared it live. Shout out to everybody that's following on the live. We're here every night at 9 p.m. Let's go.
Shout out to everybody that's in the live, man. I'm getting ready to get up out of here. If y'all got any questions, man, just hit me in the DM. I thank everybody for watching. I'm going to go through the beats that we did tonight. And, tell me what y'all think. And before we get out of here, let's go. Appreciate you, Vinny. Zach, I appreciate you. Dub, I appreciate you. Fanny Shed Records, I see you. Born Ready, I see you. DJ Heavy, I appreciate you. Let's go. Appreciate y'all, man. I'm about to get up out of here, man. Until tomorrow, 9 o'clock.
Arkatech Beatz.
See y'all tomorrow. Let's go.